This presentation aims to provide effective strategies to increase English language learners' literacy skills. My name is Evelyn Rivera, and I created this presentation for the course TSL 4081, which I took in the summer of 2012 at the University of South Florida. This presentation stems from a case study that I conducted to fulfill the requirements for the course. The case study is based on a little boy named Matthew. Introduction and background. Matthew is a 9-year-old male student who just finished grade 4 in an elementary school in Lee County, Florida. Matthew was born in Nicaragua, and his first language is Spanish. Matthew and his family moved to the United States shortly after Matthew was born. Matthew has attended all his school life in the public school system in Lee County. Matthew is at the intermediate fluency stage of second language acquisition. Intermediate level students may demonstrate near native or native-like fluency in social settings. Determining students' needs. Assessment is the beginning of instruction. Assessment is a critical element for success in academic diverse classrooms because it is essential for planning for differences. Assessment is crucial in responding to the learning needs of our students. Therefore, the purpose of assessment in the academically diverse classroom is not only to assess the results of learning, but also to use assessment data to inform our practices in order to increase learning. To determine Matthew's literacy needs, I did a MISCU analysis. I also assessed his reading comprehension and his writing skills. These assessments provided me with vital information about Matthew's strengths and areas of needs in literacy. Vocabulary. Good readers pronounce words both accurately and automatically. Comprehension cannot take place if readers are unable to identify the words both accurately and automatically. MISCU analysis can help a teacher identify good reader word identification strategies. A good reader focuses both on letter sound patterns and on meaning. Vocabulary development. Vocabulary is the essential foundation for communication in the second language. The primary task of the language learner is the development of a strong and useful vocabulary. An English language learner may appear able to handle the demands of functioning in an English-only classroom because he or she is competent in a variety of school settings, talking with a friend in a hallway, playing ball on the playground, or speaking with a teacher one-on-one. But researchers have found that although ELLs can develop peer-appropriate conversational skills in about 2 years, developing academic proficiency in English can take much longer. We are all aware of the strong connection between vocabulary knowledge and reading comprehension. If students are not familiar with most words they meet in print, they will have trouble understanding what they read. Therefore, it is vitally important to teach keywords that English language learners will need to comprehend texts, learn the context on those texts, and pass tests. One of the simplest ways to assist students with vocabulary before they read or a text is to discuss critical terms before asking students to read. Whenever possible, it is helpful to illustrate meanings with pictures or diagrams. ELLs can benefit from the following vocabulary strategies. The first one is sight word recognition. A large number of English words do not belong to word families and do not follow predictable pronunciation patterns. Students can be actively involved in the process of determining which words they want to learn through the use of word banks. Word banks are collections of known words gathered from the text that students have been reading and rereading. The words are lifted out of context and written on small cards and collected over time. Regular review of word banks words encourages students to look more thoroughly at words and to note individual letter sound correspondences. Another one is personal readers. This is another good strategy for sight word recognition. Copies of familiar text or selected passages from books that students have read can be collected in a folder or notebook. Students underline the words they know best, and these words can be transferred into small cards. A number can be written on each of the cards that matches the numbered stories. The student's word bank can be kept in a plastic bag and that can be stored in the personal reader. Another good strategy is word hunts. In word hunts, students hunt through their reading and writing for words that are additional examples of the sounds, patterns, or meaning unit they are studying. Another good strategy is bingo. Bingo is a fun and engaging way for students to review sight words. Word sorts is a useful activity when dealing with groups of related words. Sorting forces students to think about each word and to see similarities and differences among words. Now let's move on to comprehension. This is another area where Matthew had difficulties. Comprehension is at the heart of the reading process. It is important to remember that we can teach students how to comprehend texts. We should not assume that if we simply explain what something means, students will automatically know how to comprehend other texts. The following slides include effective strategies to increase ELL's comprehension of the text. Pre-reading strategies get students ready to read, to approach text material critically, and to seek answers to questions they have raised about the material. Some effective pre-reading strategies for English language learners include previewing the text by looking at the title, pictures, and headings, activating prior knowledge, and this can be done through semantic webs or through KWL charts. Another one is setting purposes. The W portion of the KWL chart can set this purpose for reading. Also complete story maps and complete graphic organizers. Now let's move on to the during reading strategies. These are some effective during reading strategies for ELLs. Number one is ask literate comprehension questions periodically. It means that don't wait until the end to ask questions. Teach students to analyze the syntax of lengthy, complex sentences. Another strategy is maintain journal or log while reading. The next one is oral and written summaries. Good readers summarize and reorganize ideas in text. Ask the students to summarize what was read, either orally or in writing. Think alouds are the reader's verbalizations and reactions to a reading selection. They allow the teacher to gather information about a reader's thinking processes. During the reading process, the teacher stops at certain points and asks students to think out loud, to share their efforts to comprehend and monitor their comprehension. Another good strategy is comprehension challenging questions. Research shows that teacher questioning strongly supports and advances students' comprehension, particularly when the questions are those that are described in the figure below. These questions are effective in improving students' comprehension because they add purpose to the students' reading, focuses students' attention on what they read, and encourage students to monitor their comprehension. Now let's move on to post-reading strategies. It is important to link the activities used at the pre-reading phase to post-reading activities. Students are to answer the prediction questions that they ask by looking at the clues that were used as the basis for asking these questions. Students are to complete the L column of the KWL strategy. The post-reading phase is the best time for asking questions requiring inferential and evaluative comprehension. When students cannot answer a comprehension questions, they need to be taught to use look-backs to find information in the passage that is related to the questions that they cannot answer and reread the information to try to answer the question. The next slide, we're going to move on to the writing. Writing was another area where Matthew had a lot of trouble. Strategies for writing. And the goal for this writing is to help the students develop the knowledge, skills, and experiences he must have to become a competent writer. Strategies for writing would be, in the area of writing, ELLs need to be shown very specifically the essential elements of good writing. For intermediate and advanced speakers, focused lessons on voice or word choice may be appropriate, while beginning speakers benefit from models of complete sentences using adjectives or forming a question. The following are proven effective strategies for writing. The first one is process writing. Students share their writing with peers who comment on their piece and ask questions or offer comments and encouragement. The process approach breaks the writing act into manageable parts and puts oral language, reading and writing at the service of the students' communication goals. The process approach to writing is especially beneficial for ELLs because it allows them to write their own experiences. Another great writing strategy is dialogue journals. The purpose of dialogue journals is to develop fluency and authentic conversation on paper. Another one is learning logs. Learning logs require students to formulate questions about what they are learning or what might be difficult while they are reading. As the teacher reviews logs, she can identify concepts that may need to be clarified. In addition, learning logs provide an excellent and natural way to evaluate a student's progress. Another also good strategy is student self-assessment. Also, student self-assessment places students in charge of their own learning. And finally, write daily if possible. ELL students need ample opportunities to write for all audiences and purposes. Teacher feedback is important so they continue to grow as writers. The following slide contains a sample of a worksheet that could be used for in comprehension. This is a very good example. Then let's move on to the next slide, which contains also a worksheet for punctuation. This is also a good sample of an activity that could be used to help the student develop their their comprehension and their punctuation skills. And the next slide is there are some samples of writing prompts that could be given to ELL students to increase and give them opportunities for writing. And the next slide is the full study case. If you are interested in doing this full case study, please visit the following website. Thank you so much for your attention. Bye-bye. This presentation aims to provide effective strategies to increase English language learners' literacy skills. My name is Evelyn Rivera, and I created this presentation for the course TSL